Question of the day is, did Jesus have long hair?
What a great question. And let's turn to 1 Corinthians 11, because this is probably where this question was asked in context of 1 Corinthians 11. And of course, there were no cameras back then to take pictures of him. And 1 Corinthians 11 talks about it's a shame for a man to have long hair. And therefore, people say, well, then Jesus must not have had long hair, because if it's a shame for a man to have long hair, then he couldn't have had long hair. So, but he did have long hair. He was under the Old Testament Jewish law. And
talks about them being a peculiar people and not rounding their beards and things like that.
Yeah, and we'll look at that in just a moment. And let's look in 1 Corinthians 11 to begin with. And let's look in verse 14. 1 Corinthians 11, verse 14. Probably where this question has arisen from on some level. 1 Corinthians 11, verse 14. Doth not even nature itself teach you that if a man have long hair, it is a shame unto him? Implying that just naturally you can tell that men shouldn't have long hair. Now, obviously, I'm against hair. You can see that. I have a thing against hair. And what I would do is I would remind you that in 2 Kings chapter 2 in the Old Testament, there was a very specific punishment for making fun of people that were bald.
The bear attack?
The bear attack, yeah. It's in 2 Kings chapter 2. The last time somebody made fun of somebody that was bald. You have to look that up later. But in the meantime, let's come to Leviticus 19, and let's look in Leviticus 19. Hair is overrated, you know that. Leviticus,
I like to have hair, though.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's true. It says in 1 Corinthians 11 that for a woman a hair is her glory, you know, and one of the things that distinguishes men from women is supposed to be the women have more hair, you know.
Longer hair.
Longer hair, more hair, yeah. Leviticus chapter 19 gives instructions for the nation of Israel, and one of the instructions has to do with them having long hair. And so Jesus Christ, being made of a woman, made under the law, and coming in and fulfilling the Old Testament law, he certainly had long hair. And it was peculiar for men to have long hair, but the Jew in the Bible was supposed to be a peculiar treasure to the Lord and a peculiar people, and to bear the reproach of the Lord, the nation of Israel was. And therefore you will see even today Jewish men, Orthodox Jewish men, following this custom, following the rule here in Leviticus. And let's find it here. It's in Leviticus 19. Do you see it? We'll find it here in a minute. Here it is, 27. Leviticus 19:27. Leviticus 19:27, Ye shall not round the corners of your heads, neither shalt thou mar the corners of thy beard. So when you see an Orthodox Jew fulfilling this Levitical commandment here, they'll have the long hair and the full beards. And Jesus Christ had a long hair and a full beard because he was
Old Testament Jew.
He was a Jew, made of a woman, made under the law. He came not to overthrow it, but to fulfill it. So even though in 1 Corinthians 11 it says it's a shame for a man to have long hair, he did have long hair. Otherwise he would have broken the law. Now the thing today, well, what about men having long hair today? Well, long hair doesn't look good on men.
Not really long.
You say, well, what's long? What's long? Well, if you have to ask, it's probably too long. If you have to ask, it's probably too long time for a haircut.
Right.
When you study 1 Corinthians
Mullets
11...
are also not good.
Mullets?
FYI.
No. Is that in Leviticus?
No.
Thou shalt not mullet. Is that?
Just personal preference.
Yeah. I don't know if it is. When you read 1 Corinthians 11, you read more of the chapter, you find out that the woman having long hair, showing that she's under subjection and under control and following orders and following obedience, and if the man is to have long hair, that shows that he's kind of like a woman, which you don't want to be. So, yeah, Jesus Christ had long hair.
But a lot of the depictions were centuries later, so Jesus was not effeminate looking with the long hair. In fact, a lot of things that we read about in Scripture, it talks about him, not drawing really a lot of attention for his physical appearance. Mm-hmm. So he's not as beautiful as they depicted him to be, just from an aesthetic standpoint. But he probably had more Jewish features than a lot of the paintings that you will see where they make the features more Anglo.
That's a great point. That's
and
a great point.
Probably tan, being over in that.
He was a carpenter, physical laborer.
Right.
Yeah.
So more of a manly looking man.
More of a manly man, long hair or no. But
right.
That's an excellent question, and I appreciate getting the chance to talk to that today. So that's the answer to today's Bible question. If you have a Bible question, fire it away, and we'll be happy to answer it. And until then, the Lord bless you.